number 2 is 7:03. Here on this Saturday evening, it's JJ, John Jastremski. We're taking you through the next 3 hours right here on the FAN. Get aboard at 877-337-6666. And we're going to welcome in a guy who wrapped up an illustrious run at the New York Post. And when I think of all my years of, growing up, reading that newspaper, whether it was in high school, going through like the 2003, 2004 series, I remember getting my coffee, picking up my Post, and reading this guy. And now he's ready for the next stage of his life and the next chapter of his work career. Let's welcome in the outstanding columnist, my good friend, the great Kevin Kernan. KK, how are you, good sir? It's good hearing from you. How you doing?
JJ, it's always great to hear your voice, your energy. And I got to tell you, the whole non-sports thing has been tough on everybody. But I was thinking to myself when your producer called, it's got to be tougher on JJ than anybody in the world.
Wow, well, it's been
nobody
brutal.
loves sports like you, man.
No, you ain't kidding, Kevin. It's been really, really tough. But I can tell you the audience here, and maybe it's my sick memory that all of these memories have come to light. And, we've had some fun doing some stuff over the last, couple of months. And listen, you find a way to get by. I think we're all trying to find a way to get by. And Kevin, let's start here, my friend. For you during this crazy, crazy time, what has been like your saving grace in getting through, this idea of being stuck inside early on and, not having a whole lot of things open and not having sports back in our life? What has been something that has helped you get through this pandemic?
Well, I've always been kind of a guy, my nickname is AMBS, of course, America's most beloved sports writer, and there's some irony to that because I'm not always beloved. But I always try to look at the positive side. And what I did personally, one of the things I did was just try to work on getting myself better physically. I'm 66 years old. I still think I'm 30. And, so I took an approach like, okay, this is the hand we're dealt. At the same time, what happened? My job gets eliminated at the New York Post at the end of April. So that's, there's another strike, and you just got to bounce. You got to roll with it. And, I've also, JJ, not to get too heavy here, but I'm very blessed to have a wife and 3 kids and grandkids. As a matter of fact, sports, always throughout my life, 44 years of doing it. Today's my oldest son's birthday.
How about that? Happy birthday.
Yeah. And what's great about that, JJ, and this is probably before you were even born, 84, though, I'm hustling out of the Boston Garden after that great series with Magic and Bird to get home in the morning so I can be there for the birth, So the sports memories tie together, life ties together, and I think we all should look in the mirror a little bit and be thankful for what we have and what we don't, instead of looking at what we don't have.
Well said, my friend. And Kevin, being able to be a part of so many special moments here in New York, so many special moments in your career as a sports writer, is there one given game that if you could go back in a time machine, relive it from a work standpoint, you'd relive that event? If there's one game I could take Kevin Kernan back to, what would it be?
Jeez, I've had so many great memories, and I really, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back to the first time I went to Yankee Stadium before I was a writer. Before I was a writer, going to Yankee Stadium for the first time, my dad against, he was a big Detroit Tigers fan. He was a cop. So every once in a while as a cop, you get free tickets. And, going into Yankee Stadium for the first time to see that ballpark and just to see that grass coming out of the portal, seeing the grass. And then life goes on. You get all these great events. I mean, you name them, I've been there. For me, one of the most exciting ones was Kirk Gibson's home run. I was there for that. Aaron Boone's home run, I turned to Tom Keegan before the game, and I said, Aaron Boone's going to hit a homer to win this game today. And Tom Keegan was also a columnist at the Post. And I just figured out that game had a Bucky Dent feel to it before it even started. And I looked at an infielder that was kind of like on a back burner, and that's why I predicted that Boone would hit the home run, which he eventually did. And
not too shabby a prediction right there, Kevin.
No,
for a guy who, by the way, didn't even start that game because they played Enrique Wilson with his success against Pedro.
Exactly. So it's just that's why we love sports. I remember being at the Pedro game when with Zimmer, and that whole series. This spring training, I talked to Tony Clark about Tony. You're double. The ball that he hit into the right field corner. That I was in the auxiliary press box in that corner in Fenway. If that ball doesn't go in the stands, the Yankees win that game, and there is no 2004 Boston Red Sox championship miracle. So they all kind of run together, but that's what makes them great. And I also think back, I want to say real quickly, I think back to Red Smith, one of the first games I covered. He was a legendary columnist, in New York, and I got to sit next to him one day at a Knicks game early on in my career. And I have red hair, so I think he liked me. And I've always tried to be good to the young writers too, give them some advice and also some tough love. But I asked Red, I said, Red, how do you do it? Why did you pick this profession? And he says, well, I wanted to live like a millionaire without the hassles. And that's basically what I've done in the last 44 years, bringing all these great events, traveling around. And then I also read, I said, well, how do you write, Red? How do you do it every night? And he says, I put my hands on the keyboard, back when there were keyboards, typewriters. And he says, I let my wrist bleed, and I bleed from the wrist. And that's what I've done my whole career. I wrote the truth. I tried to have fun with it, but I've also called people out when they need to be called out. And one of the great things about this happening with my job, I must have heard from hundreds of people, the phone calls I got from, and long phone calls, not just a 30-second thing. Mike Piazza, David Wright, Stan Cass, the people who reached out were just phenomenal, and the fans, of course. So it's been nice. I joke. I say it's like going to your funeral without dying, and that's one of the great things about this. And I'm still writing because I want to put a plug in for ball9.com. That's ball9.com, and I got a special column tomorrow that's going to pop up on that website.
Well, Kevin, listen, we know you're a baseball lifer like me, and you have to be as ticked off as I am that you have this ridiculous impasse. And I got news for you, Kevin. I see today Andrew Marchand over at your old employer, The Post, is basically saying that the owners got $1 billion TV deal, $1 billion TV deal with Turner, and yet they can't 100% prorate these salaries. Drives me nuts. And to me, the owners are dead wrong when it comes to this issue. Dead wrong.
Well, and we didn't even get to the best part yet. The fact that if you go back my last 23 years in New York and also 44 years in the business, how much do you think those teams are worth now? I mean, are you kidding me? There's so much. They got so much money they don't know what to do with it with the owners and what they're doing. But see, in a way, I'm glad this is happening. Let me tell you why. Because I'm seeing the little guy in baseball getting pushed out. I'm seeing the scouts getting pushed out. They're the lifeblood of this game, and the way they're being treated just shows you. And the players got to have many times better than those guys. But they should come to a solution here. Could you imagine if both the players gave a little and the owners gave a lot, and they did it for us? They did it for the fans because we need something right now. But they can't even get out of their greedy way. And again, most of it's on the owners. I get it, but also I'm putting a little bit on the players as well. Move forward. Take what you can get this year. This is an experimental year. I said from the beginning when people were asking me, at FAN in February and March, what's this year going to be like? I said it's going to be an asterisk season. This is like 61. Now it's worse than that. This season's really not going to matter. It's going to be an experimental season, and just get back, play a little, so you're ready for next year, and you also build some bridges so we don't go through the same thing. Because I remember what it was 94 was like. 94, I'm out in San Diego covering a guy that's going to hit 400 maybe, Tony Gwynn, and that disappeared. And baseball goes through these eras. They go through the dead ball era. They go through steroid eras. They go through a technology era, and that's what happened. Technology's overtaken the game in so many ways. You see the cheating and everything else, and we forget about the human beings, and that's where we're at the game right now, and it's very sad.
Kevin, do you see a lot of parallels and similarities between what's going on right now and what you covered back in 1994?
Yeah, but it's worse now because I think there's so much. This is like, I'm a big food guy, right? This is like me going into a Jersey diner at like 1 a.m., and having a piece of pie. There's 17 pies for me to pick from. These guys got so much pie in front of them, they should each take a slice and move forward, okay? So this is worse than 94 because in 94, they used to have to, it was a little harder for them. A funny little story, JJ. When I covered Tony, we had a great relationship, and I used to always bug him to be able to open his check. And one day he actually, every 2 weeks I get paid, and he actually said, "Okay, you can open it." I wasn't going to write about it. I wasn't reporting on it at the time. So I opened a check. It was a 2-week pay. It was for $86,000. And I said, wow, and then he goes, yeah, but look at your taxes, man. Look at the taxes they're taking out. And that's how players think, man, when it comes down to money like this. Never enough. And when they see how much these owners are making, and they're putting, and also with this, there's an X factor here I didn't even mention in the players' favor, but they're going out there playing with the COVID thing. So that's another thing. They're taking the risk. So yeah, I agree with you. It should be just get done, move forward, move on, and let us have a little enjoyment in our lives.
We got the great Kevin Kernan. He wrapped up an illustrious run at the New York Post. He joins us here on the Fan. And Kevin, I'm actually fired up to relive though the summer of 1998. And I remember that summer vividly because the Yankees never lost a game. It was great. And then you had the tainted now home run chase between McGwire and Sammy Sosa. What is your lasting takeaway from being a guy who was covering the sport at the time? Did you have those feelings that something was off and something was up? Or were you like a whole lot of Americans basking in the idea that baseball was back in a big way? What was your take going back to that time?
Well, that's a great question. And let me take one step back. 98 was an amazing year. If you just watched The Last Dance, you saw me in the last 10 minutes.
I did. I forgot to mention that. Look at you. You're everywhere, bro. My goodness.
Yeah. And that question stood the test of time to Robin about them being one of the great teams of all time. And, of course, Robin gave me the great answer about, well, if you can't recognize that, you're doing illegal drugs. And so that's why they left it in the – it was a great – and, by the way, it was fun to watch. Then I go right to – because I love baseball, I call my boss and say, hey, let's go to – there's a team in Jersey. I'm going to go watch them play in Connecticut. If they make it to Williamsport when only 4 teams just go, could be a great story. That becomes Todd Frazier's team.
The Tom's River team, of course.
So
yeah.
I went right from there to that. And then what do? Just like you just said, I went on to the great. I chased around Sosa and McGwire. And I was around the Maris family. I knew the Maris family quite a bit. And when one of the things that struck me most was when McGwire held that bat up, the Maris bat to his chest and said, I feel, the Roger was with me now. And I think I got caught up in it as much as anybody else in the excitement of the home runs. Obviously, we felt something was going on, but we didn't think it was anything that with the steroids. I didn't know. I got to be honest. And I'm always honest with whenever I write. I probably could have done a better job. We all could have done a better job on that. But we were all looking to get out of the 94 strike and make baseball fun again. And that's what it took. That's what happened. And, of course, what happens after that, you get Bonds get mad because he's not getting the attention. All of a sudden, he becomes Big Barry. And then the game goes on. I was totally against instant replay from day one. They get instant replay in. They got more cameras in. Now you get all the cheating. And, we go from Bang the Drum Slowly, one of my favorite movies all time, to Bang the Trash Can Loudly with the Astros. So everything just keeps filtering, and it's going down the wrong path. So it's got to stop. It's got to stop now. Hopefully we can get back to playing baseball, athletes, get the game exciting again, first to third, all those things. So there's so much. Baseball has such an opportunity here if it would only take it.
Kevin, being around the 90s Bulls and the 90s Yankees, you got a chance to witness greatness. Did you notice any similarities between the two, or did they handle their business in totally different ways? Very similar.
Another. This is why I love coming on with you, JJ. And of course, we're going to go right to the league guys. Jordan. From the first time I wrote about Jordan when he came to the Garden, I stole the Springsteen line and said I've seen the future of the NBA, and his name is Michael Jordan. And Jordan was Derek, and then we have Derek Jeter. To me, Jeter was Jordan. Simply, I'm not talking about level of talent, so I don't want anybody to go crazy. There was nobody like Jordan, the things he could do. But Jeter and Jordan had an incredible will to win. And that's what's missing in a lot of players these days, because we've created a generation of showcase players who don't have to stay on the field to excel, because there's always another game. And the Bulls team, the amazing thing about that Bulls team, you had guys like Jordan, Rodman. I don't know if Rodman played high school basketball. You had the Pippen coming from nowhere. So you had guys who really wanted it, and I think you saw the same thing with those Yankees. And you go around the horn with the Yankees, but Jeter was the key player for that. And that was one of the things I was always thankful for. And even when I see him now, and I'm very disappointed that we don't have the All-Star, the Hall of Fame class this year, and going up there would have been fun. But Jeter playing the game the way it should be played, making those crazy plays where he followed the ball, made it happen. So in that respect, Jordan, Jeter, Yankees, Bulls, same kind of teams.
Kevin, before we get you out of here, now that you mentioned the subject of Derek Jeter, covering his entire career, when was the moment for you where you realized, wow, I'm really watching a special, special player? Was it immediately in his rookie year, or did it take a couple of years? Like, when was the point you as a sports writer said, this guy's going to be one of the greats?
No, I think you saw it immediately because of the way he carried himself. And I asked him once, JJ, and the thing about Jeter, and this is another great comparison between him and Jordan. I've never seen an athlete live in the moment of that, playing that moment, that pitch, that whatever, better than Derek Jeter. And the other guy who was as good as him was Jordan. Jordan lived in the moment. So he would never, if we win, and I asked him once, I said, Derek, what's most important? He goes, hey, if we win, I don't care if I go for 4. And I know it's a cliche, but he meant it. So I knew early on in his career, this guy was something special. That's why when you had the scouts saying, basically in the meetings when the Yankees drafted him, like, I'm going to say this guy's going to win championships. They knew it right from the start, too, because he exuded that. And then he made the adjustments, became a better fielder, and, went with the pitch. You know what he did? I hate to simplify it. Derek Jeter played baseball. More guys need to play baseball. And that's why I think it's so exciting. That's one of the terrible things about this year. Alonso, he's that kind of guy in a way. Aaron Judge is that kind of guy. So we still have those type of players, and we just need to see them out there and playing because it's always special. And I know we don't have time, but I'm also doing some research on the 2000 World Series. And let's not sell the Mets short. That team lost 4 games by 5 runs. So what a time we had in New York during those days. So it's and one last thing, again. If you're upset by baseball and everything, you got to read my column tomorrow because
I'm fired up. So, Kevin, where can we find your latest column? I miss reading your columns. I can't wait to check this one out. Where can we find it?
Well, there's a Louis Tion column up there right now, and it's Ball9, BALLNIE.com. It's a wonderful baseball site. That's all I can say. It's a wonderful baseball site, all kinds of things. And, Tion, just talking to him recently and talking to his family, his family came from Cuba the last year, his mom and dad. They got to see him play, and they died within a year. And you know what he said? He said, yes, but at least they died in America. I can go see their gravesite. So that's some of the things you'll see. But tomorrow I have a really special one. It's going to be posted tomorrow about someone who misses the game so dearly, and you'll never think who this is, what living soul this is, until you read the column.
Kevin, I can't wait to check it out. Thanks for a couple minutes. Really appreciate the time. Stay safe, my friend, and don't be a stranger. You're welcome anytime, any place, so you know where to find me, all right?
All right, buddy. You got my number. Give it a ring.
There you have it. That's a great Kevin Kernan, long-time career with the New York Post. Now, still writing. That's what I love to hear. Baseball life for every which way.